Hello there and welcome to another Irish Field video audio discussion interview. I suppose over the last year or two you may well have heard of Sunday racing, both on and off the track. And I'm feeling racing fans are going to hear a lot more of Sunday in the next 2 or 3 years onwards, and hopefully for a long time after that. Today I'm joined by Darren McGrath from Sunday Racing and trainer Jack Davison. Darren is ready to take a big, significant next step in this very, very exciting and I suppose futuristic ownership project. And I think Jack is the trainer that's more than happy to be on board. Afternoon, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Oh,
Hi,
very,
Ronan.
very good.
Brilliant. Technology is working and we're flying so far. So, Darren, why don't you start us off? Why don't you just basically tell us what Sunday is all about and why you started this venture?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thanks, Ronan. I think overall, I've been involved in horses and involved in syndicates for many years, and I just having a technology background. And chatting to an awful lot of people that would be either involved in horses or would like to get involved in horses. We just started to kind of see what was the way that you could actually use technology to enhance the ownership experience. And we made it kind of very simple in the sense that what we want to do is we want to be able to give an owner or a syndicate member the type of content that they're probably used to getting from different sports. You know, like we watch the golf, we watch the rugby, we watch the Premier League, we get all of this data and insights and information. And there's no reason why you can't actually get the same thing in terms of the horses that you own. So Sunday is trying, to do a lot of different things. And it was very important to us to find the right trainer. And I was very lucky that when I approached Jack, that he was genuinely interested in the project. He comes from a sporting background outside of, say, racehorse training as well. So combined with age, genuine interest in terms of, the project, and obviously the most important thing is exceptional talent in relation to being an up-and-coming trainer, we've pieced together a product which is basically a mix of content and Fitbit for your horse. So you can see all of the data in relation to your horse, how your horse is progressing. And Jack is kind of helping us to piece the whole story together. And the mashup thus far has come together very well. And we're pushing it out into the marketplace as of this week.
Brilliant. So we'll come on to Jack in a second, but Darren, why don't you just tell us a bit about the features in the app, and maybe we're going to see some of those features now and what it actually does. You mentioned Fitbit for the horse, which is naturally very interesting straight away.
Yeah, Jack will kind of explain a little intro in terms of when we show a piece of work here as to what he would have explained to the work riders, the other jockeys around Cisco Disco, our horse, and what they were looking to achieve on the day in terms of the whole learning experience. But, from a reporting perspective, we can provide everything to the owner in relation to any of the training on the gallops that your horse does. Okay, so it's all around speed, velocity, acceleration, stride length, weight, fitness, heart rate, strides, and it's giving us as owners the opportunity to get something a little bit more tangible from your ownership experience. And over the years, I always felt a little bit kind of aware of the pressure that trainers are under to share information and updates with horses. And trainers are training horses. That's their job. Their job is to read the individual and put that horse on the best path. And this product basically takes that type of pressure away and it allows the trainer to amplify the story. And it's really, all around the content that you're getting. And it's very similar to what you would see, say, with Premier League players at halftime or when they're finished. They'd be wearing the vests that are doing all of the tracking. And it's exactly the same technology that we've built and integrated into the app. And what Jack is helping us do is to turn it into good content and make it relevant to the training program for the horse and to bring everything to life.
Brilliant. Well, Jack, let's bring you in here because I just wondered what you thought of this initially when Darren approached you. I suppose you have a bit of experience around the world, having been on the Flying Start with the Godolphin thing and down in Australia, where I think the ownership model is probably a bit more advanced, I suppose, and also just wondered what you thought of the whole thing initially and how you kind of experienced it so far.
Yes, I suppose when Darren first called me up, Ronan, I was surprised and really glad to get a phone call like that, because as you made reference to there, I've been around the world and I've seen a lot before I decided to go training. I was lucky with the experiences and the opportunities that came sort of presented themselves to me. But with that, I always kind of felt that Ireland, in terms of racehorse ownership and the ownership experience, was just lagging behind a little bit. Probably because it's quite a traditional sport here in Ireland, but in comparison to the likes of Australia and America and the kind of things I saw them doing out there in terms of like giving the owner a really good experience, I always felt that Ireland was just some way behind. So when Darren rang me and told me about his ideas and Sunday racing and the ownership experience that he would like to give to those who buy a share or participate, I was really on board with it, Ronan, because I think it's fascinating stuff to, for me, like I saw, in America and even, in England, how tuned into trainers are to, like, stride length and speed and how important that is, but also how interesting it is. And, I just think that, if I'm fascinated by it, why shouldn't, other people who don't really know anything about racing but can relate to, speed and stride length and velocity in other sports? Why shouldn't we give them an insight into, how that can be applied to training racehorses and get them involved that way? So when Darren, put Sunday racing to me and explained to me what it was about, I was really, I suppose I kind of jumped at it, Ronan, because it's something I've always been fascinated in, but there was no real medium in Ireland for me to express that interest and get it out there to people who could get involved in racing. And I think that another big thing for me was getting more people into the sport. It's a great sport, we love it. So I was always keen to try and do something there and play my part in terms of letting people know or educating them about racehorse training and heart rate and stride length and speed, and giving them that kind of knowledge that might just draw them into a sport that has really got a lot to offer. So
yeah, brilliant.
Yeah,
I mean, like, and that's what it is. It's really like opening the bonnet of racing and taking a look inside, which I think many people haven't had that experience of yet. I mean, back in when I was involved in any sort of syndicate, it was a WhatsApp message or something like that, and that's all you really got, I suppose. Jack, you might give us a bit of, I don't know, there's obviously so many intricacies to training horses, and I think we're only at the tip of the iceberg where many people are. Give us an example maybe of the horse Cisco Disco Darren mentioned there, that you've been able to tell some of his journey on through the app and using that sort of technology to create more value for the people who have shares.
Yeah, well, I suppose Cisco Disco is quite a good example, Ronan, because from the start he's an athletic horse, okay. So, but how do I tell that from the figures or his heart rate or his stride length or his speed, through the technologies that Darren applies through Sunday racing. And you'll see when we look at a piece of work that Cisco Disco does in the Curragh, that he's able to go at a decent pace quite easily, and that would in this case be reflected through his heart rate. You'd see that he wasn't under any particular stress and pressure, cantering along at quite a decent speed. So that's always a good sign. So what you had there, we have a horse that can go quickish easily, which is really what you want and what you look for. And all the good horses or decent horses have high cruising speeds. So I suppose Cisco Disco was a good candidate. He's a good horse to be sort of tracking, if you like, and explaining the story as you go along, and letting owners in on that as well, because it's pretty cool information, especially when you can see it there in video footage of Cisco Disco going up the gallop in his comfort zone, whereas another horse that might not be so athletic or so capable could be struggling, and just explaining that to people and telling them what I'm looking for. I think that's pretty cool information.
And the other, it's actually interesting that you mentioned that, because the other two fillies, obviously, I think is Sunday Style and Sunday Special, and they haven't run yet. I guess they're a bit more back end. But if you didn't have, if when you have something like this to show the owners of these fillies, who people have bought shares or whatever, at least they're getting something now without the horse running. They're seeing something on the journey. That's another aspect to it, Jack, isn't it? It's not, the horses aren't running yet because they're not ready, but you are being able to get some sort of value for your money, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like even just to be able to show them footage of doing their daily canters at home, and how they're progressing along that. You can read into their heart rate. Even doing routine canters, you can see that week on week they won't be under. As they get fitter, they'll be doing things easier, and it's also cool that you have the figures to show that through their heart rate and through and then all of a sudden you'll see they're able to go faster, easier, and then I would explain that now it's time for a piece of work. It just so happens with these two fillies that they weren't so precocious, whereas Cisco is a horse that we were able to kind of crack on with a little bit, get him working, get him racing, and hopefully we can see him run a decent race this week.
Brilliant. Darren, I suppose we talked about the kind of experience, but like behind the scenes or in the training kind of regime, but there's different types of content that you're hoping to put out. You're telling me like the kind of on the day of the races experience. Can you tell us a bit about that? What owners will get through that?
Yeah, I think coming at it from an owner's perspective, right? The excitement and the buzz that you get kind of culminates really on race day. The dream is always alive as the horse is going through its progress, as Jack is bringing them along. But when you get to the race day, that's when you really want to try and get as close as you possibly can. And with technology now, and if Jack is on his way to the race course, or the horse is being loaded, into the van to head to the race course, it's very easy now to do a quick snippet on the mobile. We upload it into the CMS on the app, and each of the owners get up to the minute detail in terms of what's happening. Like we saw the journey that Authentic took there in relation to the Kentucky Derby, and that was, a micro share ownership opportunity that people took up. But they did a great job, because you were nearly with the horse all of the time, before race day, on race day. And the whole thing about sport is you want to feel part of it. Like there's a world out there that's changing. Sky Sports have a gazillion of people that are watching the golf, watching the rugby, watching the football. And what's the point of all of this information and data? Is to make us all feel part of it. So on race day, you'll be able to get a before and after from the trainer, get a view, also from the jockeys. And it'll be easy as well if we wanted to have a chat to work riders on the day that you do a piece of work. And really, like that's what you're paying your money for, to be as close as you possibly can to the experience. Because I think that sometimes people forget this is competitive sport. Like, yes, we all have a bet and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, like, you want to win. Like that's the whole idea of being involved in a horse. Like the thrill of it, the buzz of it's what gets you into the next one and gets you into the next one. And sure, I'm a lost cause now at this stage, but like that's because it's your competitive side. Like we can never get involved in Liverpool or United or whatever, but we can get involved in horses, and we can be there on a weekly basis to get an insight from what I think is one of the best up and coming trainers in the country and in the UK. Like anytime I talk to Jack, whether it's on the phone or whether it's in messages, it's all about letting me understand more about where these horses are. We're doing our videos, and you just bring it into the race day as well as through the training program. Sure,
that's really interesting. I have a question here. Who's the target audience? I guess it's anyone who's any sort of interest in racing. But if is there a sector that you're looking at in particular, Darren, or is it a case of just getting everyone involved, or anyone who has any sort of interest in racing?
I think you can say everyone, right? Because anyone can download the app from the app stores and then subscribe to purchase a share. But the bottom line, when we were conceptualizing this and building it, we had 25 to 35-year-olds as our bullseye. right? They're the people that at the minute can't get into horse racing because, it's a life stage thing. You have to either, get kind of syndicates together or wait until your ownership, you'd be able to pay for it yourself. But for these type of shares that will be starting at 79 euros and then going up to 200 and to 500 euros, it's an opportunity for any 25 to 35-year-old to get involved. So they're out there. They have their interest in horse racing. I think that there's always the risk that there's a negative story being shared, totally unnecessary. This is a wonderful sport to be involved in, and for people at that age, you get involved now. And sure, they can move up through the food chain with Sunday or on their own as they get older. But the whole point is to be able to give them the opportunity to be able to see it, and that's why we invested the time and got some good people involved to build this product, and bring the technology onto the handset and let people enjoy it. Simple as that.
Brilliant. And Darren, you were kind to send me the app as kind of done me just have a quick look around, and I suppose it's worth mentioning it's not just a case of there's other content on the app that's worth having a look at, and there's sample sizes there for people to look at and things like that. It was worth giving that a mention as well.
Yeah, over the last 2 years, we've been wandering around with our camera interviewing people, right? So Hugo Palmer, Kevin Blake, Warren O'Connor would be good examples. And the idea behind that was, if I was to be very honest, and I suppose we're doing this out to the public, was to ask questions that you wanted to ask or find out about, but never really had the opportunity to sit down with a jockey or to sit down with, let's say, a racing expert. And we've put together 117 videos that you can also subscribe to, where all of the people that we met are giving, good, easy to understand explanations as to why different things happen in particular ways in racing. Like Warren's great in terms of explaining jockey technique, balance and style. Hugo Palmer does, he did 21 little videos for us maybe a year and a half ago, which was fantastic, explaining things like a horse's action. How routine is very important to horses and understanding them as individuals, and how that then plays into the journey to the race course and what he was calling the journey towards peak performance. And if people understand more about the sport, it makes it easier to absorb. It's not just about the finishing line, so to speak, and the color of a cap winning and it being kind of a 6-4, win or a 10-1 win, and you get a good feel for how good these guys are in terms of jockeys and trainers. Like, you can't underestimate that Jack has to evaluate each horse in his yard on their own merits as an individual and plan a program for them to bring them to the best physical condition that he can. So yeah, there's over 100 videos there, and people can subscribe to those. And again, it's about enhancing the overall ownership experience.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a really brilliant Ger Lyons interview you did as well yourself, Darren, that we teamed up with you for, and that's excellent. It's on our website as well. Just summing up now, Jack, I'll come back to you briefly. The other two fillies, I believe there's still obviously shares available, Sunday Special and Sunday Style. Is that right, Darren?
Yeah, well, as of this week, the app is now available in both app stores, iOS and Android. So all you got to do is search for Sunday Racing, go in, download, register, and then you'll be able to purchase shares in both Sunday Style and Sunday Special. The shares are 79 euros each. And then as part of your subscription, you get access to all of the data and all of the content. You get to hear a lot more from Jack and myself, hopefully yourself as well, Ronan. And, it's about following the journey. It's not necessarily dreaming immediately that the two fillies are going to win the Oaks. We want to be competitive. We want to win races, and we want to be part of it, and that's exactly where it's coming from. And for a share price of 79 euros, it makes it very easy access. And the support we're after getting from people in the industry has been great. HRI have been very supportive in terms of what we're doing, and like even guys like yourselves, that the digital Technology is there, and I think we're just using it in an interesting way.
Brilliant. And Jack, you might give us just a quick synopsis of both those fillies, Sunday Style and Sunday Special, where kind of what stage they're at now, and you know, how exciting are they?
Yeah, two promising fillies, Ronan, both by good stallions, and Equiano and Make Believe, which is important. They're coming along nicely in their training. They're taking the kind of baby steps quite well in their stride. They seem natural enough, and we're just kind of going through the process with them now. So we're doing a little bit more intense work, and they're pleasing me to this point. So I'm looking forward to introducing them to the track, shall I say. I'm not sure when. They might just take, well, Sunday Style seems to be not too far away, but Sunday Special might just need a little bit more time. But two nice fillies to have in the yard anyway.
Yeah, the Oak Stream is still alive, so.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Right, well, let's finish up, Darren. Do you want to kind of sum it up where you want to be with this, the ambition? It's as I said, it's a really exciting project. I can't wait to see how it goes down. What's the dream here?
You know, I think, being honest, right, this is a very infectious sport, and all we're trying to do is get it into people's hands. You know, from there, it has the potential to grow and grow. And you saw that with the myracehorse.com in the US there a couple of weeks ago. This approach to share purchase has ended up with a horse that won the Kentucky Derby. So that's basically saying there is no ceiling, absolutely none. It's about finding, you know, the right horses, getting them on the right journey. And I think that for all of us who really enjoy this game and enjoy it a lot, I think it'll become easy now for people to share, easy for people to become involved. So look, it's sales time of year. We've got 2 horses that are there. Myself and Jack are looking at a couple of other options. And as those horses come on board, push them out on the app, give people the opportunity, especially over the coming months coming up to the festive season. I think there's a great opportunity to get thousands of people involved. The more people that get involved, the better the story becomes. And the industry is at a point where it's ready for digital to create new demand. And if we can get people that were never involved in horses purchasing shares, you know, we're going to be building this team, and we're going to be investing, you know, as much as we can in more stock to go into Jack, for Jack to take us on the journey. So, you know, I think that there's huge opportunity. I think the timing is right, the time of year. I think that, you know, it's very difficult for all of us in terms of lockdown, and we do want other experiences, other forms of entertainment, and this is an easy way to purchase. And I think people will be grabbing at it, you know, I genuinely do. And we can look forward to the next few months.
Brilliant. Fascinating stuff. I really appreciate, guys, both you coming on, and very best of luck with everything. It's a really, really, really interesting project, and hopefully it works out and reaches its potential. Thanks, guys.
Thanks very much, Ronan.
Thanks
Thank you. Bye-bye.